Hey guys, another session with the bowling mentor, Charlie Morris. Charlie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How you doing?
Sound as a pound, mate. Sound as a pound. So talk us through what we're going through today.
Yeah, so I thought I'd just go through some field settings, and some kind of alternative field settings, shall we say. I've had a few people. The reason why I thought we'd go through this is I've had a few friends who've started playing some friendlies last weekend, and generally went round the park, being the first game. And so kind of yeah, sparked my imagination, my thought as to kind of go through some scenarios where if that happens, what fields can we set? And also, bowling on a road. I think also in the UK we've had about 2 weeks now of pretty dry weather, if not longer, of dry weather, certainly of sun. And so the April wickets aren't necessarily what you'd expect at the minute. They seem to be quite good batting tracks. And we've seen that probably around the country as well in the championship with some pretty big scores posted generally and some good batting scores. So um, yeah, one of the scenarios I'd like to talk through or field setting examples is bowling on a road, like a flat wicket, and how we can basically look to contain and get wickets when we haven't got anything to work with. So that's where we're at. Juice, have you going to pull the thing up, mate, to draw it out, the diagram, or would yeah, here we go.
The Venn
Started
diagram.
screen sharing. Here it is. Perfect. Okay, so as always, we'll go through. Um, really keen for you to know your fields as well, guys, that you've potentially used in the past. If you've got any questions, do shout out. And then at the end, we can go through anything else. So the first one is how to get control back when you're not bowling well. I think we've all had games like this where it's really just not coming out at all well. Can't land the ball on the right length. Yeah, put the ball at cow corner. We can't land the right length, and we certainly can't hold a line. So in that scenario, um, this is plan D, where when we get to this point here. So what are the key things? I'll ask a question to those on who anybody who wants to answer, please do. But in this scenario, is there anything that you think would be really simple and effective way to get some control back? What as a captain would you be thinking in this situation if one of your bowlers was bowling like this? It's not a trick answer, not a question, sorry. So yeah, give it for a couple of seconds. Anybody brave enough to have a go? No, okay. So we'd be looking to shut down one side of the ground. That's what we'd be looking to do, and that's what you need to do in a situation as a bowler. It's really hard to set a field and get any control when we're bowling different lines and lengths, and the ball's going either side of the wicket. So shut down one side of the ground. And so this is the field I'd have. I'd have one slip. I'd have a third man.
Good.
Yeah, first man's yeah, yeah, exactly. Juicy. Uh, a point up in the circle. I then have a cover point back. I'd have two covers, like an extra and a cover, I guess, in there. Perfect. Mid off, mid on, and a mid wicket. And that is it. That would be my field in this example. So the line I'd be looking to bowl is a good length and obviously outside off by a considerable way. All right, so we're taking out bold and LBW. If the ball's going everywhere, we're looking to bowl a line, yeah, exactly where Juicy's drawn there, outside off. We've got a slip in place because we need to try and get a wicket. And what we don't want to do is be bowling that line and an edge to go through. So I've kept a slip for now. It'd be easy to say, well, let's lose it and put them in the ring. But if we're bowling that line, I say the ball can go down to third man. If the batter plays a shot, it's only going to go for one. Got a point up in case well, if you bowl a good length and they kind of knock it into the offside, then hopefully not going to get a single. Got two covers in there as well. Again, just to close it down, it's an area for the batter to try and hit through. just much a run stopper in that regard, but also to stop the quick single. Got to cover out in case they hit the ball through that ring. And this field here, obviously, we haven't got any. Well, we've only got two fielders on the leg side, so certainly wouldn't have. If you bowl straight and you're going to get clipped, it's going to go for runs. But this is just somewhere like the field in this situation, everything's not going at all well, and you haven't got any control. Then you can just hone in to do something really simple. And the idea and the aim is to get some control back, like feel like you're getting your line and your length controlled outside the off stump, build some pressure up, and then you can, if you start to feel more confident, change and start to bowl a bit straighter, and obviously amend the field from there. But yeah, we've had a question come in. Is the context for this opening the bowling on a road? It wouldn't necessarily be about opening the bowling on a road. This would be like plan D. Okay, so we'd have our, usual field that we'd set for opening the bowling. We'll be looking to hit the top off stump, a couple of slips, maybe point field up on the offside, maybe a fine leg back. That'd be our, standard field roughly. This here is when things haven't gone at all well, and we're just trying to get some control back. So that's a field that I think could work quite well. And you could be thinking, well, the batter knows what line you're going to bowl because it's pretty obvious when you're bowling with a 7-2 offside field where it's going to be. True. And you could then say, well, they might step across and try and hit it through the leg side. That's fine. They might do that, but that's also, you're executing a line outside off stump. You're making the batter, you're forcing the batter to do something different. And if they want to come and try and take a ball from outside off and over the leg side, then actually, uh, it's somewhat risky. You never know; it might just go straight up and you get a wicket as well. But that's the point, where when things aren't going well with the ball and we're trying to hit the top of off, and the batter's able to score freely either side of the wicket, pretty low risk, and keep the score ticking over, then we've got to find a way to get back that control. And so, if they have to start stepping outside off to try and whip it across, then you're back in the game, so to speak, to a point. So anyway, that's the first field. Has anybody got any other? We're not talking T20s here. We are talking 50 over cricket. It could be championship cricket, so longer format cricket. So championship cricket, kind of 2, 3, 4 day cricket. I've seen this field used. Excuse me. Yeah, specifically not for T20. I'd probably stick away with this for T20. I mean, T20, you've got 4 overs anyway, so if you bowl a bad over, you're probably going to come off anyway, or be held back and come back on at another point. But this is for kind of like longer cricket where we need to have control, and yeah, it's just a way to get back in the game. Cool. Has anybody got any further questions on that before we move on?
Is this, I mean, maybe it's an obvious question, but
No, that's all.
are we assuming here generally to top of off line or fourth stump line you're trying to aim for, and perhaps the ball's not really moving much? So there's not much lateral movement, or swing or seam for that matter. I guess maybe that's the next kind of hurdle is if you're struggling, if you rein your kind of length back and your line, then you're looking to try and get the batter out, with other means, and finding that the ball's not swinging or, you're not getting much seam off the surface.
Yeah.
Would you change this that much there, or would you initially change perhaps your approach to the crease slightly?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So this field specifically isn't it's more based around if you as a bowler haven't got that control. The line I'd be looking to bowl this field is way outside off stump, almost like eighth stump line here. So we're just
Okay.
trying to like hold like a line. This is like crisis point. Well, so like it doesn't happen often as bowlers, but it can happen. But yeah, the question you've asked there is actually we're going to move on into bowling on a road in April next in the next scenario, and like things that we can look to do to get wickets and stuff. So yeah, slightly different sscenario, but really good question. We're gonna come on to it now. I'll go through some like different approaches and stuff to how we can get wickets and on flat pitches, for example, not sorry in April, but flat pitches in general. Okay, Giz, you want to wipe the board, mate, if you're there?
I'm here.
Good, excellent. So, so bowling on flat pitches. I said April because the weather's good in England at the minute, and the pitches generally seem to be a lot better than they usually would be at this time of year. And so there's a couple of fields I'm going to go through here. The first one I've seen used quite effectively in a championship game once. I think Stuart Broad bowled to it for Notts a few years back on an absolute pancake at Trent Bridge with a when we were playing a pink ball day-night game, and it did absolutely nothing. So it was quite a different field, and it was something that resonated with me, and I thought I'd share it now. So really flat wicket, no lateral movement in the air or off the seam. You've got to find a way to create pressure or build pressure to get a wicket. Okay, so we'd start with Juicy, one kind of a second, third slip line. Excellent. Then we've got a point. We've got two covers, pretty close in. Yeah, perfect. Mid off, quite close in. Even closer, I reckon, mate. Almost up to line of the stumps. Yeah, perfect. Then we've got a mid on, close in. Two mid wickets, close in, excellent. And then like a kind of quite wideish fine leg. Yeah, so this field here, quite unique in that you've got all the players pretty close in, relatively. So you can see where the inner ring is, so to speak, on the diagram. We've got say it's really flat. There's not much lateral movement, even bounce, let's say. So you kind of keep a slip in, just in case you get that outside edge. You're always looking to get wickets, looking to bowl that off stump line. But here. What we're really asking the batter to do, and this is if you've got the control, and you're able to hit a good area constantly. What we're asking the batter to do here is do something different and try and hit through the inner circle. If you've got a bowler that can hold their line and their length, then say you've got the two covers in tight, which uh, kind of closes the gap down a little bit, so the batter doesn't really see where they're going to score a run. So they're going to have to hit through it. And then you've got your mid on and your mid off up quite tight as well. And then obviously your mid wickets as well in. So if you imagine if you're batting and you're facing a field like that, it's actually quite imposing. Okay, you might be able to think like there's scoring opportunities if I like hit the ball through it, but that again is risk. Okay, and the idea here is if the batter does that and you're holding your length, you've got an opportunity to get a catch in the inner circle with the guys in front of the bat, and that's exactly what happened in the game I was playing in. One of our batters tried to hit through it, and we lost a wicket on a absolute road from trying to force something that wasn't actually quite there. And also with this field, you're not going to be able to rotate strike easily unless the bowler bowls a bad ball. Like a clip ball off the pad, which might go out to the kind of wide, fine leg, or just manages to squeeze it through. But if they're bowling a good area and you're just coming forward and defending it, because the fielders are in so tight, you are not going to be able to rotate strikes. So the scoreboard's not going anywhere. We're building up pressure. We're able to start to hopefully force the batter into making an error or something like that. So, I mean, out of question, quick question for anyone on the call: has anyone seen this field before? Anyone used a field like this before? No. Okay, well, that's hopefully a good thing. If you'd all said, "Yeah, I've seen this," then we wouldn't necessarily be teaching you something new to use. So that's really good. So just have a think about it. If there's a yeah, if it is really really flat and you're trying to force a win, for example, out of the opposition, then something like this might be a way to go forward. You can bowl that straighter line. Look to bring bold and LBW in as much as you can. The only other thing you could do, if you wanted to, is take the second mid wicket, the one that's closest to the more square of the two, and put them in as like a second slip if you wanted to. If you felt like the batter's technique was such that you could get the outside edge. So the other side, usually the mid wicket. Excuse me. But they could go in there. Anyway, right. So that's that field. The next one is, geez, if you want to wipe the board, is one that we use quite a lot at Worcester, and this field is really good for wickets that are generally pretty flat, but actually a bit low. So there's not a lot of bouncing. Okay, so I'm gonna again question for the floor. If there's not a lot of bounce in the wicket on the pitch, what type of deliveries would be hoping to challenge the batter with? How would we be looking to get the batter out? Do you think? What modes of dismissal come into play the most? Go on,
Bold, LBW.
yeah, perfect. Bold LBW, excellent. So really low, really skiddy. So we want to be bowling straight. And here's a little thing. Everyone, when we talk about bowling straight, everyone thinks that's middle stump. But to good players, middle stump is too straight, and they'll work it quite easily all day and be able to rotate strike. I think a really good lesson I learned and was taught really is when we look to bowl straight, what we're actually looking to do is bowl and hit off stump. So you usually we talk about bowling to a batter like a stock ball. That kind of usually be off stump, but actually slightly wider in that corridor outside that kind of fourth stump line. That's the usual line we bowl to a batter. So when we bowl straight, we're actually just going from that. We're kind of coming like marginally across and into off stump. Any straighter than that, the batter can work it. And naturally, our line varies a little bit, and we'll likely put a few balls into the leg stump, which either get clipped, and if you hit the pad at that point, the umpire is going to potentially hesitate in giving it out because they think it's going down. Whereas if you're hitting constantly onto off stump, we talk about bowling straight onto off stump, then we've got a good chance of the umpire giving it out. So anyway, on with the field. One slip, a point, a cover, a mid off, mid on, two mid wickets, deep square leg, and a fine leg. So we use this field a lot. We'll be bowling into off stump, one slip just in case you get the outside edge. But with this field here with the two mid wickets, if you're bowling that line and like kind of tacking the batter's pad and the stumps, then these two mid wickets come into play. They're a real run saving option here, and we had a lot of success. It's one that you have to just kind of hit the area for a long period of time, wait for the batter to make a mistake. Again, you might not have a lot of support with the ball on kind of like these low flat surfaces. You might have a little bit, you might have a little bit of swing, but so flattening that off stump with this type of field can be really, really effective. Critically as well, we've got a fine leg and a deep square back. So using that bouncer, talk about low, slow pitches. You can say, well, it's going to be quite hard to bowl the bouncer. It will be, but if you bowl it short enough, the ball will get up. We just might have to pull our length right back and really dig it in. If you've got the pace and means to do it, use that bouncer, keep the batter guessing, because then we hopefully, the bouncer enables or is an enabler to get the wicket because the batter's feet aren't, yeah, six, juicy, because the batter's feet don't move as well. They don't get into the ball. That's exactly what we want on a low flat pitch. Okay, for their front pad to not, or their footwork to not be as good, and we can really target those stumps and hopefully get the wicket. And going back to the question Chris came up with, yeah, using different angles on the crease here is really, really important. Really, this can be quite an effective field if you've got some reverse swing as well. So swinging that ball, like reversing that ball into the off stump, really, really good. Again, you've got that cover in the mid wicket area. You can switch it round, swing it away, and you've got like a slip, which is at kind of 1.5, and then bring the keeper in the air and the slip into play with the outside edge as a wicket taking as the alternative ball to bowl. So again, anyone else use this field before, come across it? No worries if not, but again, hopefully a bit of education, something different that you can use. When we come up against these kind of surfaces and pitches where we have to adapt a little bit. Has anyone got any questions on it before we move on?
I think I mean, for me, I've had kind of slightly aggressive mid wickets like this before, but I've never
Yeah.
really had to catching, close in.
Yeah.
Typically, the bottom one has been a little bit more orthodox and probably, in front of in the ring, but
Yeah.
not quite, close catching as the other. So interesting thought there.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you could stagger them. You could have one in and one sitting back a bit. But I think if you've got two guys in, I mean, the closer your fielders are to the bat, the more they close the angle down. So, yes, if the ball's hit hard, they'll have to do like a, you know, almost like a goalkeeper, like shot stopping. But it's they've got a narrow gap. The batter's got a narrow gap to get the ball through. So, getting them in. Not only is it a wicket taking option in case they chip the ball straight to them, but it really is a run saving option there as well. The other thing, Juicy, one thing I'll change, I don't know if you can here, is you could put one of the mid wickets on the right hand edge of the crease in a catching position. Nope, so near where the bowler's front foot line is. Yeah, even closer, like right on the edge. Yeah, perfect, just there. And then you could take your mid on wider in the gap. So you could split them a little bit that way. You could just make these kind of small changes, if that makes sense. Yeah, exactly that. So slightly different, but that field would be in the batter's eye line a little bit more. You could just take that mid on a little bit wider. You could just alter it and make these small changes and play with the batter and in their mind a little bit, and still bowl the same ball, exactly the same. But these little things can just get you a wicket when you need them on these flat surfaces. So cool. Unless anyone's got any further questions on that, we'll move on to the last one before we open it up to some questions.
Hi, Pratisha. This field is mainly to target on the stumps when the wicket is low, not outside off, right?
That's correct. Yes, you'd look to bowl into off stump, straight, kind of a pretty slow and low wicket. Yeah, if we're bowling outside off here, then we wouldn't be bowling effectively to our field. We've got a bit of cover on the offside, but we haven't got that much cover. We haven't got the outside edge isn't really going to be coming into play. So yeah.
And the length of the bowling will be for this one and the previous field setup is will be the length ball, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Not bowling full. Yeah.
Not too full. You want to be bowling into the pitch. On a low wicket, the batter really wants the ball to be up there because it means that they can hit through it when it's low. Imagine the ball like coming in at a shorter length and kind of skidding onto them. It's much harder to then hit the ball, and that's where we can get them stuck on the crease. You almost like bring your length back a bit so that they look to go back, but the ball stays low and on the stump line. That's where we can get them trapped on the crease and get them LBW. The fuller we go, then they can drive and use the pace off the ball out the bowler's hand much more easily to hit it as opposed to it kind of into the wicket and having to like force it yourself. So this is a very specific field for a very specific type of surface that you'd bowl on, but we will come up against them, and it can be a really effective field to use. So if you've got the control to do it, then absolutely go for it, and hopefully you can have a lot of success with it. Cool.
Thanks.
No worries. Good stuff. Okay, last field then, Juicy, if you want to wipe it. So this last field and the scenario, so to speak, is we've got an aggressive set batter. So I'm thinking a batter that is very good at hitting the ball when it is a fraction short. Anything that's a fraction too full, they manage to hit it. You've got a very, very narrow margin for error. And these batters do exist. Ben Duckett is a good example of an England batter that's like it. He's very difficult to bowl out. If you miss your areas slightly, he'll whip you through the offside. If you get too straight, he'll flick you through the leg side. If you're slightly too short, he'll pull you. And just generally like one of those kind of 360 aggressive batters. And so this was a field we actually used against Ben a few years back in a different game against Notts, but it was really useful, and it enabled us to get the wicket in the end, which was the whole point of this field here. So Juicy, I've got gone for 2 slips, a third man. I've got a gully. I've got a cover point. Sorry, I should say cover point out. Apologies. My bad. Perfect. A cover, a mid off, a mid on, and a mid wicket. Okay, so this field here, I mean, it kind of, you could say, well, it looks quite similar to the first field that we set with the other scenario back when it was kind of like, crisis point. But it's slightly different in that we've got some more catches in the slip region. And this field would be really, really effective if you're a left armer and you're bowling to one of those type of batters and you're trying to like take the ball across them. So the line we're trying to bowl here is quite full. It's just off a half volley and really wide outside the off stump. Okay, so we're not bowling at the stumps, and I say that the length is as important as the line here. Because if we're really, really full, we are going to get driven through the covers. We've got a cover point out. Might go to them, might not. Yes, but exactly where Jesus put it there. It's just off a half volley. So, any ideas for those watching why we would want to bowl that length and that wide to the field? What advantage does that give us bowling against a set aggressive batter in this scenario?
Yeah, so basically what you're doing is you're kind of restricting his boundary ball by having the man
Yeah,
out there. And then you're
yeah,
making that shot way more risky for one run. And by going across him, hopefully if he's reaching for the ball, he isn't going with the full face of the bat. He might only be showing like 50% of the bat face. Hopefully the ball deviates slightly, takes the edge, and goes to one of the guys on the cordon.
perfect. Couldn't have said it better. That's absolutely spot on. When we're bowling that line there, the batter, if they want to play it, they have to play away from their body, and if they play away from their body, there is risk associated. We always look at batter's technique. It's all about head, hands, and eyes. Sorry, head, hands, and the bat face all in the same line. Nice and compact, and playing the ball. As soon as you get away from your body like that, you don't have full control over what's happening, or what's going to happen rather. So, and that's where that those fielders come in. So the 2 slips and that gully are absolutely in the game here. It only takes one chance to go through, and I say that's exactly how we got Duckett out in this situation. He was motoring. Going, he had a strike rate off 100. I think he was going to run a ball or something. And we bowled this for 2 or 3 overs. Run rate came down, and he kept going for it, and we managed to get the wicket in that scenario. So, it does work. And again, yes, it's very obvious what we're going to do. What line you're going to bowl. We're not going to bowl straight here. The batter knows what's coming. But it puts the emphasis back on them to try something different, and that might equally get you the wicket. You say you've got that cover point, you've got that third man because it is wide. They might slash at it. There might be the odd boundary that comes from bowling that line and that thing. But the whole point is that the batter was already get it going at a runner ball anyway, if not getting a boundary every over. So you haven't got the control. So this opportunity here is to get them out and get some control back. And so I'd again, remember this field. If the scenario suits, use it. In the summer. And hopefully it'll work, if not as a run saving, or to get some control back, but to get that wicket. But yeah, perfect. Prav, that was very well said. So awesome. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. Has anybody used this before or seen it? Or
Yeah, I have.
yeah, great. How did you go with it when you used it?
I mean, the idea was great. My execution at the time wasn't fantastic, but
Okay.
yeah, the whole point of it was basically, to be fair, I actually moved the third man to extra cover instead,
Okay. Yep.
just to like kind of really reduce like the boundary. And I go, if it goes through slips, it goes through slips. That's just sod's law. But yeah, it's one I would like to use a lot more, especially because if the ball isn't doing anything, but the pitch might have a little bit in it, just playing away from the body just creates that, like you said, that element of risk.
Yeah, perfect. I totally agree. Yeah, and I'd say always all bowling comes down to execution fundamentally, and we've got to be able to try and land the ball in the right place as often as we can. But again, that all these fields that we've gone through today are alternative fields. They're not the usual fields that we'd necessarily set. They're not our three slips and a gully and a ring field, when we're opening the bowling. They're not fields for death bowling. They're very specific for very specific surfaces or situations or scenarios. So I just wanted to show some options there, because sometimes when we come up in these scenarios, it could be a little bit overwhelming as to what to set, what options we have, where are we going to get a wicket from. And so hopefully, that this has been thought provoking as to what can be done. The key thing is to learn the fields, maybe listen back. We're not going to learn them overnight. It does take time to know what fields we're going to set. So maybe this is recorded, like listen back to the scenario specifically, and then right, that's the field. And you've kind of got to go and like learn them, get a piece of paper down and think, and then take that into a next session. So, right, this is the scenario in the next session today. This is the field batter, and this is the line that you're gonna bowl to execute it. And that's how we get better. And so when it comes to it in a game, we can just switch and set the field as we want and know what we're doing and stuff. So, I hope that's been useful. A little bit different, but yeah, please. What I'd like to do now, I don't know if Jeezy wants to jump in, but open it up. We can go through some other field settings if people would like to, or we can just open it up to the floor with any questions about anything. It doesn't have to be field setting related. If you have any questions on what we've just gone through, then please do shout out. But yeah, over to anyone really. Don't be shy.
Have you got a field? So I quite often might have two gullies, or put quite a backward point and a gully, and yeah, maybe a third slip. But I quite like having good protection in that for this kind for bowling kind of wide outside the off stump, especially if someone's trying to clip me through mid wicket. I tend to most of my kind of bowling. I tend to bowl quite a good in swinger. I get a little bit of seam, but I'm a kind of in swinger bowler really.
Yeah.
So I find if I get it to swing, then it needs to be quite wide really. And if I'm looking for someone to slash it, in that case there, I think it was a second and third slip, wasn't it, that you had? And
yes, I'd say
cover point.
Yeah, second, third, gully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if in that scenario though, if the batter is working you through mid wicket and you're swinging it in, Chris, then I was setting a field for them to for you to bowl outside off. I'd look to bowl like a wobble seam delivery, try and take that in swing away, because that's kind of going against the plan a little bit. You can use the in swing as maybe like a change up after you've bowled like a load of. It could even be like almost a cross seam delivery, just to hold that line outside the off stump really wide to that field, and then after you've done a couple of overs of that and the run rates come down, or if feel like you're getting some pressure, or the batter's expecting it to be wide, you can just hold it as a conventional in swing and go, and they might just fall over it, and you might be able to get a wicket that way. But you've got to earn the right to do that. You've got to earn the right by executing that line well outside off to that specific field in that scenario, if that makes sense. But
Yes.
yeah, does that make sense? Do you use the cross seamer or like a
Probably not enough, to be honest. Probably not enough. Yeah, I think I need to really. I mean, I can bowl an away swinger, but I normally a bit of wind assist, and depends on the deck, and obviously out. Since COVID, how well you can shine the ball.
Yes, absolutely. That is a
yeah,
there are means and ways. We all know.
Yes. It's amazing what people try. But
Yeah. Well, so innovative with our deals and stuff. I've seen some very funny ways to it. But yeah, okay, that's great. It's good you can swing it away. It sounds like your in swing is the the stronger of the two. But yeah, like use that cross seam delivery, or wobble seam delivery. That's something that's used, and it can help. I think as just speaking more broadly now, as bowlers, so we want to be able to utilize the ball in as many ways as we can, and so some of us are more conventional swing bowlers, some of us are generally more seam bowlers, get that lateral movement off the pitch. But if we can learn to do both to a degree, we might have be stronger at one than the other, but we can learn to do both, and that's just enhancing our skill set. And it just takes playing, some alterations with the ball in our hand to do it and improve that kind of skill set that we've got. So have a look on YouTube at videos of wobble seam. I've done some as well. So have a look on YouTube. Like Stuart Broad's done some really good wobble seam master classes, I think, and so is James Anderson and many others on how to bowl the wobble seam delivery. That's all readily available. I've gone through some stuff on Cricket Strength as well on how to bowl it, and it can be a really useful delivery to learn, Chris. Especially if you say got that swing bowl. Sorry, you swing the ball primarily. So again, like holding it cross seam as well, or nearly cross seam, can get the ball to seam, not just kind of like lift as you would expect with like a normal cross seamer. Holding it almost cross seam and letting it go can get it to deviate quite significantly on the pitch. So anyone on the call, I'd kind of advise or ask you to just go and practice. Don't just keep doing what you know. Go and experiment with stuff in the nets and see if something works. And then all of a sudden you've got another string to your bow, which you can use to exploit a batter's technique or get a wicket and stuff. So exciting times. Get in the nets and have a go. Cool.
Great, thanks.
No worries. Any other questions, guys, or anything you'd like to go over? Please do shout. Anything from your perspective, Juicy?
No, all good. All good.
Cool.
Hopefully everyone's just taking it in and then they can start to use it, especially when the time is obviously to put this sort of stuff together with some of Camilla's stuff, because it can be hard if you've just been dicked and just gone for 30 off 2 overs to actually have that ability to stop, reset, and think, right, how do I stop this? To then remember, because most of the time people get frazzled and just keep continuing doing the same thing. So it's making sure you've got some form of coping mechanism that if it isn't going right, you can have a little stock take to yourself and think, right, what do I do next over then?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the hard bit as well is like it's educating your captains to be able to with these fields and so that if we at least if we've got them, you say, look, appreciate it hasn't gone well over the last couple of overs, for example, but I've got a plan B and this is the field I'm going to set. Then I think hope the captain
Yeah, but I think as well, just remember, a lot of captains are fucking bluffers and they won't know themselves. So
Yeah.
if you go and you've got a really clear idea of how you're bowling it and where you want the field, a lot of the time they won't have a clue what you're talking about, really. So yeah, just back yourselves a lot. That if you're putting in if you're getting this sort of knowledge from Moz, and this has been sort of tried and tested routines in fields. So you're going to arm yourself with more knowledge than your captain on a lot of times. So I don't think just because they're a captain, a lot of times it's just because they're a busybody. You can still set the field yourself, go in with a clear plan and back yourself.
100%. Totally agree. Yeah, and actually, we should all be setting our fields as bowlers. We are in charge of what we set. So completely implore that, Juicy. Cool. Anyone else? Any questions? Anything? Don't be shy. Anything to raise? Just do.
No worries. We'll hold it there then. Been really insightful. Top work again, Moz. We'll see you again next week, I think. And
Yep.
we've got Q&A tomorrow night at 7, then Performance Lab Wednesday night at 7, then another Q&A Friday morning. So we'll speak to you all soon, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers all.
Cheers, thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much.